It was a chilly night in 1983 when the world was stunned by the news of a passenger airline that was shot down by Soviet fighter jets. The tragic incident resulted in the loss of over 200 lives and left a trail of devastation in its wake. What was even more shocking was the fact that this was the second time within a decade that a passenger plane had been shot down over Soviet territory. Why was this plane over the Soviet Union? Was it a deliberate act of aggression by the Soviets? And was there an attempt to cover up this incident? To answer all these questions, let's get into the tragic story of Korean Air 007 with Mr. Storybot.
During the Cold War, flights from New York to Seoul had to avoid Soviet airspace. As a result, Korean Air 007 departed from Anchorage, Alaska, with 269 passengers on board. The Boeing 747-230 Bravo followed the Romeo 20 airway towards Seoul as instructed by air traffic control. Tragically, the pilots made a crucial error by selecting the heading mode instead of the required INS mode for navigation along the R20 airway. Unaware of their mistake, Korean Air 007 began to veer off course, slowly drifting towards its tragic fate.
At the time Korean Air 007 was in the vicinity of Kamchatka Peninsula, a Soviet missile test was scheduled to take place at the Kura missile test range, resulting in heightened alert in the area. A US Air Force Boeing RC-135 reconnaissance aircraft was also flying in the area to monitor the test. Flight 007 first entered restricted airspace at 15:51 UTC, prompting 4 MiG-23s to be scrambled for interception. However, due to a problem with ground control radar, the MiG-23s were unable to catch up to the 747, which had by then returned to international airspace. Despite this, the 747 was now being classified as a military target and was tracked by Soviet radars for over an hour. Tragically, the 747 crossed into the Soviet airspace again over Sakhalin, sealing the fate of its 269 passengers and crew. 3 Su-15s and a single MiG-23 were dispatched to intercept Korean Air 007. While the pilots were required to visually identify the aircraft before taking any action, the Soviet leadership had other plans. Declassified documents revealed a chilling conversation between General Kornukov and General Kaminsky.
Simply destroy it, even if it's over neutral waters? Are the orders to destroy it over neutral waters? Oh well.
We must find out. Maybe it is some civilian craft or God knows who.
What civilian? It has flown over Kamchatka. It came from the ocean without identification. I am giving the order to attack if it crosses the state border.
The Su-15 pilots fired warning shots, but it was ineffective as they were not equipped with incendiary shells. The 747 pilots did not see the traces and were unaware of the fighter jets pursuing them. The Su-15 pilot, Osipovich, later claimed, "I saw 2 rows of windows and knew that this was a Boeing. I knew that this was a civilian plane, but for me, this meant nothing. It is easy to turn a civilian type of plane into one for military use. I did not tell the ground that it was a Boeing type plane. They did not ask me." Unaware of the danger lurking, Flight 007 requested permission from Tokyo Area Control to ascend for fuel efficiency. The request was granted and the Boeing began to climb, gradually slowing down as it traded speed for altitude. Pursuing fighters overshot the 747, which the Soviet pilot interpreted as an evasive maneuver. The order to shoot KAL 007 down was given as it was about to leave the Soviet airspace for the second time. The lead fighter fired 2 K-8 air-to-air missiles at the plane, detonating behind the tail section and causing rapid decompression. The tragic incident led to the death of all 269 people on board, as Korean Air 007 crashed 4 miles north of Moneran Island in the Sea of Japan. Initially, the Soviet Union denied shooting down Flight 007, instead claiming that the plane had made a forced landing in Soviet territory and that all crew and passengers were safe. However, on September 5, 1983, President Reagan publicly condemned the act as a crime against humanity that must never be forgotten, and an act of barbarism and inhumane brutality. The following day, the US ambassador to the UN delivered an audiovisual presentation to the United Nations Security Council, using audio tapes of the Soviet pilots' radio conversations and a map of Flight 007's path to demonstrate how the plane had been shot down. As a result, TASS, the official Soviet news agency, acknowledged for the first time that the aircraft had indeed been shot down, after warnings were ignored. Investigations were further hampered as the Soviet Union had found the flight recorder first and had withheld it, along with other information regarding the shootdown. And this remained a secret until the collapse of Soviet Union in 1991. The political pressure and incompetence on the part of Soviet leadership contributed to this tremendous loss of life. Tragically, this would not be the last time that a passenger jet was shot down by the Soviets, as Russian-backed rebels would go on to shoot down Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 over Ukraine in 2014, which has been covered in detail along with other tragic crashes by Mr. Storybot himself in this video here.